Hello again. The Competition Commission of South Africa will be investigating the skyrocketing prices of garlic, lemon and ginger. So they said to help fight against COVID-19 related diseases. Many consumers have taken to social media to vent their frustrations over the more than 300% increase, with prices as high as 400 Rand per kilo. For more on this, we're joined by the Commission's Chief Economist, James Hodge. So, James, perhaps let's start with what it is that you know about this and where you are, if you have started with the investigation.
We have started the investigations, and we've also been monitoring these prices since the beginning of lockdown and the national state of disaster. So what we do understand what's happening with garlic and ginger is that these used to be priced around sort of 40 Rand, 50 Rand a kilogram, and the retailers would add 30 to 40% margin and maybe earn 15, 20 Rand margin on the kilogram. So demand has skyrocketed, and in the wholesale markets and imports, it's gone up to around 200, 220 in the case of ginger, around 120 for garlic. But the problem really is that the retailers continue to apply a 30, 40% margin. So whereas they were earning 15 Rand, they're now earning 100 Rand. And that applies throughout the chain. Market agents add their 5, 10%. And there's no change in behavior to accommodate the fact that this has skyrocketed to such high levels. And really, we see that as exploitation. The ability to add 30, 40% when the price has gone up so much in the wholesale market is not right and needs to be addressed.
What are some of the reasons that the retailers are offering, or some of the explanations, maybe not even reasons, for this increase?
So the main response is that the wholesale cost has gone up, and as I said, we accept that. But then there really is not really a useful response. It's kind of saying, well, we normally target 30, 40% margin. And as I said, that's not appropriate when a product is suddenly costing 220 Rand as opposed to 40 Rand. And in a competitive market, that would have been adjusted downwards substantially. You can't just start adding 100 Rand to that. And that's why we see these almost absurd prices that even if wholesale has gone to 200, 220, that's how you get to 400. We've even seen 500 in the market in terms of some of the complaints. So as I said, we're looking to address this with the retailers. We're investigating. We may reach settlement and reach agreements with them to change their behavior. But otherwise, we'll just proceed to prosecute and fine them.
In the meantime, what do consumers do? A lot of people actually believe that this could help in the fight against coronavirus. But with these prices, it's simply impossible for many to afford it.
Well, you're right. And that's our big concern about the sort of price escalations for essential foods during this COVID period is maybe for the wealthy, it doesn't matter at all. The average shopper probably at Woolworths doesn't even look at the price. But for poorer people, now you're denying them essential nutritional or immune-boosting, products which they believe can help them in the fight against COVID. So it makes them more vulnerable. So I think the first thing consumers can do is actually, look around and vote with your feet. There are some national chains that have, at their corporate stores, tried to maintain the prices much closer to wholesale, really reduce their margins. Go and shop with them and desert those that they seek to exploit. The other is to lay a complaint, and we'll follow up and we'll prosecute if necessary. But consumers' biggest, I think, asset is their voice and the ability to punish by moving elsewhere.
So any other cases perhaps that you are looking into, especially in terms of retailers who have hiked prices of other food items?
The main complaints we've got so far are ginger and garlic. Lemon, I know you mentioned, but hasn't featured strongly. But what has also happened, I think, in this period is at the beginning of lockdown, when the Commission started acting against price gouging, there was a massive consumer response, and that was welcoming because South African consumers aren't always that vigilant and aren't always that vocal. And I think the fatigue of COVID has meant that many consumers have sort of slipped into accepting again. And what this has done is allow consumers to find their voice again. So we do encourage consumers to be activists and to ensure that where they shop locally, that the prices are reasonable. We are in a second wave and people aren't traveling as far. So it's harder to shop around. So, make your voice heard.
Very much for that. Competition Commission's Chief Economist, James Hodge. On to